Politricks. It's the art of using distraction, diversion, jargon or obfuscation to slip unpopular, unethical, unconstitutional or otherwise nefarious acts past the people. And Africa's presidents have proven themselves to be masters of this craft. Welcome to this week's It's a Wrap, a somewhat satirical Namibian current affairs show brought to you by One Africa Television. Gebhardt, Zuma, President of South Africa, elected in 2009 and then again in 2014, in the most blatant act of corruption, has single-handedly thrown all SACU nations into economic turmoil because of pure, unadulterated greed. His Zulu middle name, Gebhardt, actually means the one who laughs at you while physically hurting you. And we've witnessed that signature chuckle in Parliament. Someone sent me a joke about Zuma that had me chuckling. It read, if Zuma was born during biblical times, he'd be used as a point of reference to encourage Christians going through tough times. And the American Baptist pastor would probably be on some, Apostle Jacob Zuma faced 782 corruption charges. He never lost hope. He conquered them all and managed to lead a country full of intellectuals like South Africa without a secondary education. Hallelujah. Apostle Zuma conquered the HIV epidemic by taking a shower. Yes, he did. He still managed to marry 5 wives, and against all odds, Apostle Zuma overcame a poisoning scandal after Mantuli attempted to kill him. Can I get an amen? He stood firm after the Kandla and Guptagate scandals and continues to do so today. He persevered. He carried on. Yes, he did. So when you're going through hell, think of what Apostle Zuma went through. He, the God of endless possibilities. Can I get an amen? On this subject of jargon, towards the end of last year, Zuma actually spoke about the shower incident, which occurred right around the time he was elected. And still, ANC stalwarts, undeterred in their cult-like belief in their party, put this man in power.
But if we have been in the kitchen, my dear, peeling onion, you wash your hands, not so. What's funny about washing your hands after doing something? After washing yourself, what's the problem?
The ANC's Gwede Mantashe actually announced that no South African MP will vote to have Zuma removed, and stated that the ANC had made a mistake differing over the reshuffle when just a week ago he expressed his vehemence at the occurrence. And knowing the ANC's shenanigans from the inside out, Julius Malema predicted this U-turn from Mantashe. I spoke to an important member of the Black Consciousness Movement, Professor Bani Pityana, one of the founding members of the South African Students' Organization, an excellent black theologian, trained lawyer, and one of the very first leaders to call on President Zuma to resign. And he briefed us on just what went down in South Africa this past week.
Monday last week, I can't get the date right, the president recalled the Minister of Finance from an official visit to London and to the United States. And the Minister of Finance then came back, and the rest of the team that had accompanied him, which included business and labor people, they all came back, and it appeared then that the president had indicated to the ANC officials that he intended to remove the Minister of Finance because he can no longer trust him. And nothing seemed to happen after that until Thursday night at 12:30. The president then called a conference and announced a major reshuffle of the cabinet, at which both the minister and the deputy minister had been removed.
State capture is a type of systemic political corruption in which private interests significantly influence a state's decision-making processes to their own advantage through unobvious channels. That may not be illegal, and that is what President Zuma has been accused of.
It is unlikely that President Zuma will seek to extend his term beyond 2019 and to be a president for life. That will not happen. But I do think that his strategy is to steal as much as possible from the state ahead of 2019 and put enough people in place to protect him after 2019.
Well, the people of South Africa, inspired by fired again Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan, have decided to mobilize and march today in numbers, calling for Jay-Z to step down. The ANC Youth League threatened violence at today's march, and I was left wondering how political parties maintain this blind following by their members, and why members of parliament who see this blatant corruption lean back and do nothing. I put this to Professor Pityana.
I think the opposition parties are hoping, in fact, have resolved to put in a vote of no confidence in terms of the prosecution in the National Assembly. That hasn't got a hope in hell of succeeding. Because the ANC has got something like 70 more members than the opposition parties combined. So, and that requires a simple majority. It doesn't require a two-thirds majority. But the opposition parties, in my view, live in a fool's paradise. If they think that sufficient members of ANC are going to abandon and risk their seats in parliament and vote for the opposition, that's not likely to happen.
And Namibia's response to all this mayhem? Crickets. Our own finance minister, Kalesh Letwine, this week tweeted about the repercussions that South Africa's downgrade by financial services company Standard & Poor's has affected our economy, seeing as our currency is linked to that of South Africa's. Many have been asking why Namibia doesn't delink its currency from the South African rand. Economist Ngoni Bopoto spoke to the homie Joseph about this.
Should we delink the Namibian dollar to the South African rand, we would almost certainly see the Namibian dollar weakening against the rand itself that we're trying to protect ourselves from.
The rating means more doom and gloom for our already precarious economic situation.
We are net importers, so we're going to have rising cost of imports, which might feed inflation.
Residents of South Africa's Western Cape expressed much jubilation after a court ruled that it is an infringement to ban the use of marijuana in one's home. And being a DA stronghold, they're going to need all of those happy herbs to get over what happened in their country this past week. Local cannabis activist Baro Ndungula, who has yo-yoed in and out of jail for a variety of legal transgressions involving cannabis, expressed his hopes that this leniency towards cannabis users will eventually be applied here in Namibia.
It can create industries, it can even help to promote tourism, because why do you think people don't go to Jamaica? It's because in Jamaica the government, it's not that it's legal for people to use cannabis in Jamaica, but the government is relaxed. You don't see people being arrested for a small amount of cannabis as such, you know, only if it's large, you see. Whereas in other countries in Namibia, even for a small thing like for $5, the value of $5, you'll be arrested. We've been arrested by the police and sentenced and stuff like that. So for us to take it up, it will cost money, because you will have to approach lawyers, challenge the government in the court and stuff. There's going to be a lot of money that needs to be used. So for us, there's no point, because that was the law at the time. You understand? So we cannot look at the past that we have been arrested because of this. You see, so we have to just let it be and concentrate on what's future, what we can do. Alcohol is a drug that is legal. But if you compare cannabis and alcohol, alcohol has got more disadvantage than advantage compared to the cannabis. Because you can drive your car high on cannabis. You can do your work high on cannabis. You can do all kinds of things that you want high on cannabis, no matter how strong that cannabis it is. Our government here, they should be looking and listening to what is happening in South Africa, because what the court has spoken about concerning the cannabis is something that they should be also following, because currently here in Namibia, people are still being arrested.
We took to the streets of the capital to ask how Namibians feel about the decriminalization of marijuana here at home.
Criminalizing marijuana is a big factor for them. They used to look at things as it's a criminology thing. When you decriminalize marijuana, you have money laundering that's going to increase, criminal activities might increase, things like that. So them taking that decision is a big step. They'll really have to look at all those factors before they can make a decision.
If they actually legalize the use of marijuana, more tourists will actually come from other countries that do not allow the use of marijuana here up to Namibia. So it will boost our tourism.
I think that it will promote an increase in criminal rates and gangs and things like that. The criminal record will increase, and also we do worry about the health of other people if they take too much.
Since there's a speculation that marijuana can actually heal cancer, I think it should be legalized only for those
For medical
for
purposes.
medical purposes only.
No amount of tripping is going to make us forget the realities on the ground. The residents of Katima Mulilo are fed up with the false promises made to them by their town council due to a reeking stench of an open rubbish dump located near centers of learning. We spoke to the center manager for VTC Zambezi, Richard Kambinda.
That's a matter that has been coming for the past 5 years now. And it has been of great concern to us as an institution. And not just for the resident staff that stay in the proximity of the center, but also for our trainees that come and train there, over 700 trainees that come there early in the morning, and also our guests, because we also have a training hotel. And we have guests that overnight there, and we fear for the health of those that we accommodate in that area. And we are very, very close to the dumping site, and we are, I believe, under 600 meters from the dumping site. Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's quite a nasty problem that we have. We've already spoken to the mayor, and she says they are making plans to move it.
Well, that has been coming. We have been discussing that. We have had meetings with town council. We have had meetings with the governor, and the governor has summoned them to come to the meeting. And those promises have been coming. At some stage, we had to involve the Ministry of Environment. And last year, the environment gave an order to shut it down. And I'm actually surprised to see that until now it's still operational.
The mayor says she's on top of this situation.
Yeah, it's really a problem for the council, as the community members are complaining, or maybe those who are living nearby the dump site, like the University of Namibia, Zambezi Vocational Training Center, and Makaravan East. It's a problem for us. Again, the place where it was relocated from the beginning is not suitable because it was within the town land, whereby we had some land to be allocated to people, and the maintenance was really there, but very expensive. You know, Katima has grown so much that the inhabitants now they are plus minus 30,000. So the dumping also is growing. The area is also growing. But now we had last year a concern from the environmental commissioner who said that we should close the dump site. We did look for a site, but unfortunately where we went, it is in another constituency, whereby we have to negotiate with the councillor for that constituency, whereby we can shift our dump site to that area. As we are speaking now, we have a management plan in place, which will allow us to relocate to a new site, and which the place has to be announced in due course, because we are surrounded by constituencies. It's like Windhoek being surrounded by farmers, so you have to negotiate and see a way forward. Since we are all fighting for one thing, service delivery to our people, and also to allow the conducive environment for all our inhabitants. So as we are talking now, it's still like that, but we are trying. We had a person who is assisting us just to take things up to the top, not only to be scattered around, but we have plans for that. It should be relocated somewhere.
The affirmative repositioning movement's leadership, following their small victory for the victims whose shacks were forcibly removed in Sevendaland last week, now have to prove that the residents have indeed been living there for 3 years. City Police spokesperson Celia Wala caught a barrage of unnecessary and derogatory hate mail from the public, which was just uncalled for. Celia Wala regrets the unwarranted responses she got to her post on this matter. We spoke to Celia about her ordeal.
3 years ago, that specific spot, that specific area, there were no shacks. Let alone a year ago, there were no shacks. So whoever is making claims under false pretense that they've been living there for 3 years, I don't know. But as a city officer, we've been monitoring the situation. And we know when it comes to political sensitive times such as this, that is when now, I don't know how people get to be instigated to occupy municipal land illegally. And we are aware of that. That's why we were on the ground monitoring the situation. We are not demolishing shacks because that is somebody's home. We know better than to transgress human rights. You cannot demolish someone's home or evict them from their home without any court order. Yes, they are there illegally, but that is not what we're doing. And the operations are continuing. Even today, as we're speaking, we have members on the ground, and they are busy with that. If we find any person erecting a structure, that is what we're doing. So that very day, I don't know how it happened so very fast. The activists were there, journalists were there. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a staged, but city police is not demolishing any shacks. So it's a very sad situation that Namibians, a social media platform used to be used for education or spreading any cause that has to do with the development or enhancement of social economic conditions of our nation, of our youth. But nowadays, it's a pity that is used to tarnish people's image, to attack people personally, to insult. And that is something that no person can take, you understand? No, it's not just a comment. It's destroying my dignity, my reputation, my credibility, my honor. And once that is gone, it's not easy to restore. So definitely, legal action is going to be taken.
The ancestors appear to be calling for the citizens to act and have made themselves heard, with earthquakes having recently been reported in Zambezi, South Africa, and Botswana. Check out these social media clips. Onaleta from Botswana wrote, "Let's unite in prayer against the tremor that has just happened. I'm scared." Simone posted, "Earthquake in Zambezi region." We spoke to geologist Norton Titus to find out more about what went down.
This continent is currently breaking apart. With the current data that we have, we maybe can say that people don't need to panic. When they do feel an earthquake, when they do feel that the house is shaking, the best is to take cover, for example, go under a table to prevent falling objects from heights or walls to fall on people. It is preferable, obviously, to be outside, and that is just so that debris or material cannot fall on people. But fortunately, in Namibia, this is a very, very rare occurrence.
George W. Bush of 9/11 and weapons of mass destruction fame and his wife Laura arrived in Namibia this week, although he seems to think he was in Libya.
Namibia has taken on the task of women's health in an important way.
Here's what Cecilia said.
Wow, George W. Bush, the ex-president of America, is opening a clinic for us for cancer. Wow, that's a good thing. Where are they opening it? Catholic hospital? Maybe it's medical. If it's medical, then it's too expensive for us. They must open it at Cathedral Hospital, Central Hospital, so everybody can go and check.
Cecilia works hard, really hard. And this week, so did I, trying my hand at being a kapana vendor. Kapana is one of Namibia's best-loved delicacies, and hundreds and thousands of people pass through these doors every day to get their fix.
How much you want, guys? Have a taste here now? When I make for you nice sauce liver?
Tell me about Kapana business. Why do you like doing it?
Just for us to survive and to help our families at home.
And do you make a good enough living from Kapana?
Yeah, we usually make living. Yes, we usually pay for a stand like this. It's 180
a month.
Yeah, per month.
And is there competition to have a space?
Yeah, they usually have a competition. You apply, then you will be placed. You can't just come and start selling your meat while you are not related.
And how much would you say you make in a month?
Per month, you just get 30,000.
So, how long do you think you're going to do it?
I have just been here for 2 years now.
And you say you start what time in the morning and you finish what time?
Well, it depends on the customers. Usually start at 7:30. Then when the customers are coming, or there is no customers, we just close at 10.
And every day people come?
Thousands. Some days. We usually come few. Hey, bossa, how are you? Hey.
Yesterday was I was in the bar and I was drinking so much. That's why I came and bring and eat kapana.
So I'm about to try this great Namibian delicacy, this very much beloved kapana. This whole bit here will cost me $50, which is pretty cheap, and it's just slices of pure beef. And it does taste like pure beef. Not my kind of thing. Fine artist Foibe Amundamba's exhibition, Contrasting Colors of a Namibian, is on at the FNCC's Art Gallery until the 20th. We caught up with the artist this week.
The current exhibition is actually more on a dominating social issue, which is land. So most of these artworks are architectural in nature due to the fact that we are dealing with a boxed-in environment. We are renting massive prices for smaller spaces. And the artwork speaks in direction to, or in terms of this current issue. It's important for me because it's a way of expressing myself, and it's also a way for me as a Namibian to represent my country in the terms I see fit, in terms of what I see socially, what I see emotionally. And this is all attributed to within our art.
Catch up with more cultural outings in this week's edition of the calendar. The master of Politricks on our continent, the geriatric President Robert Mugabe, was recently gifted a mobile wheelchair by cabinet members in his country. The guy can barely walk, and his die-hard supporters are making sure that by any means necessary, he rules. Birds of a feather, Moss. It seems politics these days is more about the Politricks of the belly. God save us all. Let's check out illustrator Dudley Vile's cartoon for this week.